Well, we should get even more answers about Malcolm Simmons and more today.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're dapping it up with the Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio legend. We'll predict 2 fall flings, 2 guys who could stand out with fall camp that starts today. Darrell, It's here. We've made it. Auburn's quarterback room got what we think is an incredible compliment by somebody who I respect, at least. But let's start things off with what a lot of people have been begging us to talk about for the last few weeks. And I just didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable doing it until somebody else broke it. This was not something I had any interest in being first on. Malcolm Simmons. And obviously this will drop Wednesday morning. Hugh Freeze will speak to the media at around 9 o'clock. So depending on when you tune in, we'll have more information. But Darrell, reports surfaced, and JG Tate is who I saw post about it first at auburnsports.com, and pointed out that yesterday was report day, and he said that I expect a full roster, but obviously Malcolm Simmons, him reporting that he believes Malcolm Simmons will be a part of the team and practice with the team is what he said. You and I have heard similar things over the last week or so, and I imagine that will be confirmed by Coach Freeze, maybe with some caveats, today.
I think in the 2 or 3 years that you and I have done this together, it's been very apparent that I've been transparent and honest, and if I'm not one of those people that holds things back. I tell how I feel. I'm still not comfortable talking about it. I'm going to for this segment because there's specific reasons, but just big picture, I still don't know that we know how this story is going to end. So in the meantime, yes, looks like he's going to be participating in all football activities. He's going to be participating in practice. Remember that there's still a criminal investigation going on. There's still a court date, right, that has to come up yet. I would caution people just to throw everything out there, all scenarios, and to kind of sift through what we're talking about. Things can change both ways, because I think when this news came out, everyone assumed Malcolm Simmons was done. He was kicked off the team. He was going to be kicked off the team. And here it is, and that didn't happen. I don't want people assuming, because of the news that JG Tate released, that Malcolm Simmons is going to run out of the tunnel August 29th and play against Baylor. That still may not happen. Auburn may choose.
JG's report is he would practice with the team.
Right. And so that means for now he is still with the team. And I think that's, you read into that however you want to read into that. I'll let people form their own opinions on that. I don't want to try to sway anybody on that.
Yeah, and to me, I said this on Village Vice yesterday with Brad Law. A lot of this, it's all legal. And
it's legal. That's right.
It's either he did something awful and he shouldn't play football again, or he didn't. And that is the legal department's job that is being investigated. And Mike G's reported, that sources within Auburn are saying they're still learning all the facts, which is the correct way to handle all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And if the plan is for him to practice, and then, once the facts come out and are confirmed and all of that in due process, it's either he did it or he didn't. And I think this should be laid out and almost decided. Like, I don't think Hugh Freeze has to make a decision here. I think it's either the legal implications happen or they don't. Like, that's what this feels like to me.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad this is good to discuss, and I'll push back a little bit and say that there have been football coaches in the past that have still suspended players, even if they didn't get found guilty by the law for something. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
They still handle certain aspects and punishment internally, even if they don't get charged. There's still an ethical or
but once again, Darrell, and this is semantics, and that is what I said. But like if facts come out and Hugh Freeze deems like that he needs to be suspended, like, yeah, sure, 100%.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just such a sticky situation, and I don't want to talk about it much more. But yeah, so that's that. Do you have anything else to add before we move on to it?
No, I think what we did was exactly right. We just laid out the whole.
Hugh Freeze should give us more info this morning, and it might just be a similar thing. He's practicing. We're waiting for more facts to come out. That's actually, if I had to predict what he's going to say, I think that's what he would say. We'll see.
Exactly.
As far as anything else that's supposed to happen today, he'll be asked about injuries probably. I'm expecting Auburn to be pretty healthy to start fall camp, which is exciting. And then, local media get like probably a 15, 20-minute viewing window where they'll see him stretch and, the quarterback throw and all of that. So that's, it should be a pretty loaded morning with stuff coming out of Auburn.
It's going to be very loaded. And always that first press conference to kick off fall practice is the one that's obviously the most anticipated, the one that's probably more packed with information. Then as you go along, things change, things happen, who performs well in practice. The injury thing is always a big, big part. You kind of get an idea, don't you, of what depth charts could possibly look like when you see players getting run out there at certain positions at certain times. I know certainly last year it was pretty accurate to what it turned out to be as far as game one. So, yeah, finally, let's kick it off and let's talk about football.
Yeah, and obviously Auburn Baylor will continue to be discussed as it should, and very excited about that. I've got a crossover with Cam Stewart of Locked On Baylor dropping later this week. Very excited to hear from him. But yeah, to me, it's just goes back to it's time. It's time. You've built the roster. You've built the team. Now it's up to, hopefully your second attempt at finding your quarterback. You're 0 for 2, Peyton Thorne, or 0 for 1. You picked him twice. But it's like, all right, like, is this the guy? Is this the guy? And we'll talk more about the entire quarterback room in a second. But all eyes this fall are on Jackson Arnold, as they should be.
I can't think of and more of an opportunity, I guess, is the way you look at it, to start off on the right foot in a practice scenario than Jackson Arnold has, because of the buzz, media days. And when Peyton Thorne came his first year, he was not the representative at media days. There, you had seen him play in the Big Ten for Michigan State, but this one just feels different. The hype surrounding it, the anticipation, all of it feels a little bit different to me than it did when we were covering Peyton Thorne's first practices. In fact, ironically, if you remember, he wasn't named the starter then. Peyton Thorne 2 years ago, when he went into fall practice, it was still a battle with him and Robbie Ashford. So the fact that Arnold is kind of anointed the starter makes it different as well.
Well, and Peyton didn't go through spring
his
first year, which is certainly part of it too. But also, like, everybody knows who Jackson Arnold is. Like, if you somewhat follow recruiting, you knew who Jackson Arnold was. And if you know the landscape of the SEC, you know who Jackson Arnold was. The first time I heard Peyton Thorne's name, I'm like, where? And I had to look him up. Like, that's not the case with Jackson Arnold. Everyone knows who Jackson Arnold is.
I was mad because he played in the Peach Bowl against Pitt, and Kenny Pickett sat out. I'm like, who is this guy beating Pitt?
Nice.
Yeah, so that's the first time I remember watching him, was in that Peach Bowl where they sat their running back, who was a stud, and there was players opting out. So I actually watched him in that game. That's how I even knew who he was.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely different. But the entire quarterback room is different. And I love that a college football expert, I guess, said something that you and I have said throughout the offseason. That happened yesterday. We discuss more on that in just a second, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Darrell, we all hit that point in the afternoon sometimes where it's just like, goodness gracious. Hey, it's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, it's a hole-in-one in your energy game or just making it through the day sometimes, Darrell. We've all been there.
Well, I was there earlier yesterday. I mean, it's at 2:30, 2:00 wall that hits right in the afternoon after lunch. And where I used to just drink a little black coffee or whatever, it's a lot easier just to take something smaller. And when it's so hot, who wants to drink coffee when it's this hot? Let's just be honest.
That's right. No, it's refreshing.
Yeah. I can put it over ice if I wanted.
You could.
I could do a shot. I could do a shot. Let's go.
You could do it all. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5hourenergy.com. You can use our promo code LOCKEDONGOLF, all one word, LOCKEDONGOLF, to receive 20% off your order. This order is only valid until September 30th on one order. It cannot be used with other promotions. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-hour energy shots online today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. So, Siski, what is the name of his show? I had it pulled up and my phone just updated.
His first name, it's Tyler.
Yeah,
Siski.
Tyler Siski went on the next round today. And there's a quote that really stood out to both of us. And it's something that we've said pretty consistently. He said, quote, "I think Auburn got 3 quarterbacks in this cycle that are better than any quarterback they've had in the room since Hugh Freeze has been there." And that's something we've talked about. We've talked about that more so from like the backup point of view, especially, you get any chance to talk about Ashton Daniel, you're going to. But obviously, Deuce Knight is part of that conversation as well. And I mean, hindsight's 2020, but I remember in real time, we were asking the question, like, why is Peyton Thorne still there? Like, why is Peyton Thorne still leading this offense? And then Hank Brown gets a shot and is like, oh, okay. Like that's why. That makes sense. It gives you so much, one from a depth standpoint. Obviously, if a quarterback gets hurt, you don't want your season to be derailed, obviously. But if the Jackson Arnold thing doesn't work, you have the ability to go to other options on your roster. And I think that is a major, major deal.
The impact of that statement is what we said, and we even took a little bit further. I mean, I remember at the time thinking, am I going away a little bit over the top here by saying, had this quarterback room currently been in Auburn's roster, been in Auburn's quarterback room last year, any one of the 3 would have started or could have started, and there would have been a better option. I mean, I made that comment. So it's kind of, I felt like Auburn would have been more successful with any of the 3. And Siski is kind of echoing that. And you make a great point that it even goes, sometimes we think about that as depth, total depth in the room, if there was injuries. But if you take that apart individually and piecemeal it, you could say Arnold would have been a better option. Daniels would have been a better option. And even perhaps the true freshman would have been a better option. And that's pretty powerful. That speaks volumes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how much that says about what they've done this offseason or just the poor decisions of roster management and quarterback management the first 2 years that Hugh Freeze has been here. I mean, he doubled down with Peyton Thorne, and like there's been a few questionable things that he's done as head coach, and like that's the biggest one, especially with the reports of like, Cam Ward was listening to what you had to offer and, what he's turned into and, first round pick and all of that. But I just, I don't know. It's like, I wonder if the mentality of Hugh Freeze shifted to, okay, in the past at Ole Miss, I was able to have an okay quarterback and just put studs around him. And I just wonder if the game is different now or if his offense is different now in comparison to everybody else or what that might be. But it did seem like we've seen a shift. I mean, all the reports coming out, like they paid up for Jackson Arnold. They paid up for Deuce Knight. And then, getting Ashton to come in, I think is a home run from a backup guy. Like, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, you've talked about that a million times. I just wonder if there was a shift this offseason where it's like, no, this is worth it. Like it's worth paying more for quarterbacks in 2025.
I think there was. I think it's a situation of making other positions as well. If you're trying to recruit other positions, it's more desirable if you have a quarterback that people, know of and think highly of. Second of all, that formula worked for Hugh Freeze in the past that you talked about, as long as the quarterback is not turning it over a lot or making really poor. You could have a game manager and surround him with a lot of elite athletes. But if you have a lot of,
it worked for a lot of people there. I mean, it worked for Saban for a long time.
But they weren't throwing it to the other team. There wasn't. It wasn't that. That's the difference. And again, I hate. I don't want to not. I'm just saying the reality of it is the statistics say there were too many turnovers from the quarterback position, that it still might have worked had the quarterback just played solid and didn't throw it to the other team and didn't turn it over as much. We know that there are 2 games that Auburn probably wins if that doesn't happen. So that formula turns into 7 or 8 wins instead of what happened. I do believe, and I just have a different philosophy about it. It doesn't mean that I'm right and I'm wrong. I just think when you're trying to play high-level football, and when you're talking about the best conference in America, now with a 12-team playoff, you're going to have to find a quarterback that wins some games for you, just doesn't try not to lose them. That mindset has to flip, and I think it has. There are going to be games where your quarterback's going to have to go out and win a game for you, period. I don't care how good your receivers are, how good the offensive line is. I don't care if you have a Heisman Trophy candidate at running back. There's still a time that your quarterback's going to have to make plays to win games for you. And Auburn hasn't had that since Bo Nix.
I was about to say they haven't had it since Bo Nix. You're right.
You don't beat LSU without Bo Nix. I don't care what quarterback
you don't beat Alabama in 2019 without Bo. I mean,
you don't beat Oregon.
2 pick sixes and all that, but like you don't win those games without Bo. Sure.
Yep. So Bo Nix went down the field as a freshman after having a really, really subpar game against Oregon and made 3 incredible throws, including the touchdown to Seth, to win the game, period. That drive won the game, and he made a series of throws to win that game. The LSU game, the famous running around in the backfield. Yeah. There's numerous examples. Auburn hasn't had that. The closest Auburn had is when Peyton Thorne, to his credit, did step up against Texas A&M last year when they fell behind, and I thought it was over because of previous trends, and he led them down the field.
They also blew a 21-0 lead.
True, but that makes it more difficult to me because it rips your gut out when you blow a lead like that. It's so much harder to come back after you blow a lead and let the other team take the lead.
That's fair.
And he came down the field and they tied the game. They didn't win the game, but they tied the game because they kicked a field goal. It looked like they were going to win it. I mean, they were moving down the field. So, but that's it. It's been few and far between. TJ Finley did it against Georgia State, but my God, we're talking about Georgia State.
What a wild game that was. In hindsight. It's pretty crazy.
I believe this year, bold prediction, go out on a limb. This year, Auburn's going to have some games that Jackson Arnold is going to have to step up in key moments to win some games, and he will do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal. And then at that point, it doesn't matter what you pay him. It's worth it.
Absolutely.
It's worth it.
Absolutely. Because I don't care how good your receivers are. You can overthrow open receivers. You can underthrow open receivers. You can throw behind or throw a ball a tick late to a wide open receiver. So it may look like, wow, look how great these receivers are. Singleton, Coleman, Simmons, whoever running free in the secondary. You still got to get the ball to them. And we had problems at times with wide open hitch routes.
Yeah, well, I mean, we also had problems with Cam Coleman dropping a wide open pass and it goes up into the air and a Cal defender catches it. Like, I mean, it wasn't all Peyton.
That's a great point, and I'm so glad you said that. The first year that Peyton Thorne would get just absolutely crucified for what he did, you and I did a show where we counted how many drops there were with that receiving core 2 years ago, and it was drop after drop. We did like adjusted completion rate or percentage.
Yeah.
And he absolutely got no help in season 1 with some of the drops that he had.
Yeah. I mean, his first matchup with Georgia I think it was the Georgia game. Like, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy, all the drops they had. So, yeah. All right. Hey, there's 2 fall flings that we want to predict. One on each side of the football. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single Darrell, I'll let you lead the way with this one because he is your guy. We'll start on offense, but obviously with the running back discussion, one of those guys has to step up. You think one of them will be the offensive fall fling during Auburn's fall camp?
Yeah, I'm predicting Jeremiah Cobb. I've heard a lot of good things about his shedding of his weight, back to where he can be a little more quicker, a little more shifty and elusive. I like him in the passing game, catching the ball out of the backfield. Somebody's going to emerge, but even if somebody doesn't, you can still have impactful moments and memorable moments, even if you're not running back one. You can still score touchdowns. You can still make dynamic plays. I like him with how hard he's working in the offseason. Some of the videos I've seen on his own. Shedding of the weight to me is important. I think he's going to be able to run away from some people. And it's going to be important.
I do think that's his natural weight. I mean, talking to folks, it sounds like he put on some weight last year to kind of be a more complete back. And I mean, I didn't think he looked slow or anything by that matter, but it looks like he went back to like what that natural weight might be. Now, obviously, it's like how often can you be used? How heavy can your workload be if you weigh that amount? We'll see. We'll certainly see. And the fact of the matter is, like, if it truly is running back by committee, that's fine. And then every time Cobb touches it, it's like, oh, is he gone? Is he going to go? So we'll see. We'll certainly see. And that could have been part of the plan. We'll see. We'll see. Mine is, and I'm going to get a little bit of pushback with this one because like it's somewhat obvious, but I am going to go with Demarcus Riddick here. Not because like he's got a position to win or anything like that. And maybe he technically does, maybe. But I think the reports and the rumblings around Demarcus Riddick throughout this fall camp are going to echo Keldrick Falk from a year ago, where it's like, oh, this is an NFL player. And not by surprise or anything, but it's just like, hey, his development is on schedule. Because Auburn folks love to scream the development word. It's like, oh my goodness, we're not developing. It's like, I think we are. They're all just about to enter their second or third season because that's how long this coaching staff has been here. But I think Demarcus Riddick, the chatter around his development and his performance this fall camp will rival any sort of hype of any Auburn defender in recent memory. That is my somewhat bold prediction for Demarcus Riddick.
And, it's good because we've seen flashes. We've already seen a sneak preview, so to speak. We've already seen some plays. There were a couple last year where he made sacks that it looked like a guy doing it on Sundays, how he shed a tackler, how he closed. So we've seen, a small sample size. I think he's ready. That's a good one. And I think we will hear on the defensive side of the ball, there'll be some people raving about him going into the season, with the get ready, watch out for Demarcus. I mean, I remember Stanley McGlover having that kind of camp, and when they used to call him the freak, he had the long hair, whatever. And people like scoffed at that and said, oh, whatever. And then he ended up having a pretty good year, had a lot of sacks, especially in the Iron Bowl. He turned it on a little bit. So Riddick could be that guy that takes that next step in the fall where people start to hear some chatter.
Yeah, I think you also could have said the exact same thing about Malik Blockton if you wanted to. I think the chatter around him taking that step forward is going to be really big. And then another one I almost said is Bobby Jamison Travis, who his role and job is super boring and not flashy at all. But if Auburn wants to achieve what they need to achieve defensively this year, he has to do what he did down the stretch last season, which was play really, really good, in the at nose guard, which people don't pay attention to. But down the stretch, he was really, really good and played a lot more football than I think most people realized.
I think he's only going to get better, and I mean, I really do, and I think that's exciting to think about that. And I think the same thing with Kieron Crawford. I mean, he could be a guy that comes out of camp and people are like, watch out. We've already started hearing how we talked about it before last week on a show, how he transformed his body. So if him and Falk are on the opposite ends, terrorizing quarterbacks, and you just get, the middle to be held down and the interior and a couple guys to emerge from a depth standpoint, I've been reading the last couple days with people that follow Auburn pretty closely, beat writers, other things. And I keep getting this recurring theme of this defense has a potential to be a lot better than people think. Not that anyone thinks it's going to be poor. I'm talking about it's going to, a lot of people are looking forward to watching how good this defense is going to be. And if you put any kind of offense with that, it's just functional. Yeah. It's, I don't know. I'm trying not to boog Zach, but I'm booging since.
No, it's the start of fall camp. Let's boog a little bit.
2019 is the last time I felt this way.
Can I give you a somewhat bold prediction about the edge situation?
Yes.
I think Jared Smith and the amount of snaps he's going to get to play this year is going to cut into Kieron Crawford's production.
What do you think about Amaris Williams?
I think they're going to move Keldrick. When they move Keldrick inside, I think that's when Amaris will play end.
That's pretty cool. That's a really nice option to have, isn't it?
I don't know if you heard, I posted, it took like 3 weeks, but I posted my Keldrick Falk interview from Media Days. And one of the questions I asked them was like, hey, like a lot of talk for your like draft stuff is your ability to scoot inside. Like, is that going to be a thing? He's like, oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Like he was so
confident about it.
And assertive, like, yes, I'm going to scoot inside. That's my biggest strength, is what he said. And I'm like, well, you didn't do that a ton last year. You did it some, but for you to say that's your biggest strength, that tells me that he's going to play some 3 technique and some 4-eye this year.
How about this? How about 2 years ago when we did the show about Malik Blockton and his high school coach said, I could see him 2 years down the line playing some nose. Remember that comment from Granger? So if you slide him to nose and you slide Falk to next to him and then have a mark, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, in a 3rd and 8 situation.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Sure.
Because Blockton can get to, you got 2 guys that can legitimately eat. Well, 3, if you put Kieron on the other side, that could go after the quarterback. And in obvious passing downs with this secondary, it will become a no-fly zone.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Darrell, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, DAP6410, Wednesdays and Fridays, right here with you on Locked on Auburn. And then Sunday nights, 8 p.m., Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie 5, little Barncast action. We go live.
Please like the video. Please subscribe, and we will see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.